welcome back to the Secret Passage podcast. Welcome to our spring season, our first episode of our new season. And we're starting off with a bang. First, however, I am your host, Dana Vespoli.
And I am Shannon, your other host of this podcast with Dana Vespoli.
Yes.
Vespoli.
And we are continuing. We ended our winter season with kind of an introduction into the whole Epstein stuff, shit show that is going on, and we kind of just delved into it, discussing, with all of the, I guess, lore that's being created, that we would go back to the very beginning where we discussed Julian Assange, Pizzagate, et cetera, because that comes up with Epstein. So we are going to continue on by talking about Jeffrey Epstein himself, giving a bit of a background and a timeline, and then discussing. Man, he is like an infection that won't go away. Shannon and I are just fucking tired.
So tired of this conversation. I'm sure everyone else is too. I was wondering if everyone else out there is fatigued. If you're listening and you're also fatigued, feel free to leave a comment.
Yeah. And it keeps worming its way. Like the Epstein conversation has wormed its way into the, military strikes in Iran even. I'm like, where else is he going to pop up?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeffrey Epstein, he was born on January 20th, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jewish family. His father, Seymour Epstein, was a groundskeeper for a park, and his mother, Pauline, was a school teacher. By all accounts, Jeffrey Epstein grew up in a very humble and normal family. He has one brother who is still alive and seemingly a normal person. He went to school in Coney Island's Mark Twain Junior High School and later graduated from Sheepshead Boy High School, and was very bright. He skipped 2 grades. He graduated high school at 16. He was known as a math whiz. And he went on to study at Lafayette College, but he dropped out after 2 years. Somehow, despite lacking a college degree, Jeffrey Epstein landed a kind of coveted teaching position at the elite Dalton School in New York City.
That's so interesting.
Very interesting. And
maybe just based on being smart? Could you do that?
No. Yeah. When you look at the faculty at Dalton, and you look at how kind of illustrious all the other teachers are, he was a bit inept also as a teacher.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was not a great he was charismatic. He was charming. He would joke around a lot. But like one student said that he would sometimes not even be able to complete an especially challenging problem.
Oh, wow. So what do you make of that? What do you make of him getting that position? Like, was a favor or?
So there's this pattern with Epstein that honestly I find more interesting than anything else about him. I think because, I'm sort of fascinated by charming psychopaths and how they worm their way into things. And also I think it points out a major flaw in elite circles, right?
Yes.
That there's a quote, and I find it tells you almost everything you need to know in that interview he did with Steve Bannon when Bannon asked him, a lot of people say that you're the devil. Are you the devil? And Epstein says, I'm not the devil, but I have a really good mirror. And I think that he's reflecting a lot of shit. He should have never gotten to where he got to. He really should never have gotten to his position. Everyone opened the door for him, and they didn't have to, because there was nothing in his background, in his career, in his any of his
not a
capabilities.
pedigree. Yeah,
No,
no pedigree, no. Right, interesting. Because and he wasn't like a Bill Gates who like
he
dropped
wasn't a
out of
genius.
college and
Yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah,
So this
he wasn't brilliant. He didn't invent anything. He was a dangerously charming guy.
he was
And
charming.
very, very likable, like that everyone says. And that's so there's some belief. There was I think the headmaster at Dalton there was like a shift with like headmasters or something. And so because no one can actually say who hired him, but there's some thought that it was he managed to get in there at a time when there was enough kind of shifting around, a little bit of unrest at the school. And I mean, presumably he charmed someone. That's I'm
Yeah.
sure that's how he got hired. Is he charmed somebody, or the person that normally would be hiring him wasn't there, whatever. But he was there. I mean, he was let go because he was not a great teacher. But he taught there, and then he charmed the one of the parents of a student and got a job at Bear Stearns.
Oh, wow.
As
Okay.
and then at Bear Stearns somehow ended up a partner.
And he was really good at what he did there, I heard, right? Like he did a lot of interesting things that maybe other people weren't willing to do. Was he sort of like laundering and doing
He was laundering money for Khashoggi. He was laundering money for an arms dealer. He was, it was his personality. He was incredibly manipulative. I think his real skill, like, he wasn't an idiot. A lot of people are saying he's stupid. His emails, the way that he uses the space bar, he's blah, 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 blah. And from what I understand with all the kind of interviews with people who had personal interactions with him, is he was just incredibly sarcastic.
And
And
you can
it's
tell in the emails. Yeah.
he doesn't really, he's not especially wordy with his emails. It's you can tell he's not interested. He's barely responding. You know,
A lot of guys are like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
My
think
friend-
his strength is in his personal interaction. If he can't be there with you, then he's going to give you the bare minimum via email, like not even using full sentences, because he just doesn't care. But the way he was described, he was hired at Bear Stearns because he was poor, hungry, and ambitious. I'm paraphrasing the wording. He was the kind of guy that was going to give 100%.
Yeah.
But he got his job there because he charmed a parent of one of his students, and then was at Bear Stearns. And let me see here. I have a little thing, because I'm so curious about his career beginnings. You know, that's where he kind of got that. I mean, I feel like that's the real jumping off point into all of his other interactions afterwards. He left Bear Stearns and started his own kind of finance, wealth management firm. Oh yeah, here it is. He was described as poor, smart, and desperate to be rich.
There you go. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. But yeah, he really charmed. He charmed one of these parents. They were so wowed by him that they told Alan Greenberg, the executive at Bear Stearns, like, you got to hire this guy. You got to hire him. He's brilliant.
He does have, I got to say, there are some people, and I've been accused of this in my life. Someone asked me once, was one of your parents a narcissist? They're like, because the way you are with people, you just make them feel like they're the center of the world. And I'm like, wow, is that a compliment? What is this? But he has that thing of like, you can feel it even just watching him in interviews and photographs and in videos, that he's like there with you and he's magnetic in a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you feel
Yeah.
like you're the only person in the
Yeah.
world that matters.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that he was 23 when he started at Bear Stearns. So he was like 20, 21, 22, 22, I think, when he was teaching at Dalton, which is so weird.
Wow.
He taught math and physics.
That's why I could see people drawing conclusions that they've drawn, even though I don't think they're true, about him being an intelligence asset, because it doesn't track with any pattern we recognize. And it seems like he's getting things, but it could be just his charm. Like you're saying, it doesn't have to be a Mossad agent. It doesn't have to be, right.
I think it was honestly the impression that I have. And again, there's simply the thing that Shannon and I, listeners, have come up against over and over and over again while we were researching is that there's simply no factual evidence of him doing a lot of things, which doesn't mean he didn't do those things. We're not saying therefore he didn't. We're saying there's simply no factual evidence, and without evidence, there's no one to prosecute. There just simply isn't.
And accusations, even if the claims seem very real and true, if you don't have evidence, it's very hard to prosecute.
Yes. And so along with that, there's simply no evidence that he was, this super spy, this Mossad agent and asset, any of these things. What does come up again and again is his preoccupation with wealth and privilege and ingratiating himself with, famous scientists, politicians, actors, actresses, musicians, writers, and just being like the kind of Jay Gatsby guy, being important to these people and existing in this world. It really seems like that was his priority.
Yeah, wheeler dealer.
Yeah.
And I think if he was an agent of the CIA or Mossad, things would have not gone this way. And I probably think they would have cut bait with him around his behavior, his sexual proclivities. I think
right, because he's dangerous. Yeah. Like that's not somebody, you don't want somebody to suddenly become the center of attention and, on trial.
Yeah.
So, yes. Let me go back to the timeline here. So he parted ways with Bear Stearns, started his own wealth management firm, where he ended up with probably his greatest client, which was Leslie Wexner. Leslie Wexner, who was a incredibly successful owner of Victoria's Secret, the limited brands. It was the L brands. So limited to all of these. And he ended up managing all of Leslie Wexner's money. And Leslie Wexner, who now is like, oh, he tricked me. He tricked me. That's what Leslie Wexner has to say about Epstein.
Oh, he tricked me.
He tricked me. He tricked me.
Could you imagine, though, being charmed by someone like that and really feeling like, oh, he tricked me?
Les Wexner was pretty scandalous. Oh, Abercrombie and Fitch also.
Okay.
He's all on his own. He's got his issues with.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad. So one thing, listeners, I did not do my homework. I started digging into all this. I'm so glad you're filling in all these gaps, and I'm going to follow your lead while we do this. So you take us in whatever direction you want to go in, but I don't know a lot. I don't know Les Wexner's history and all that. So I'm really, I'm happy that you do. I'm happy that
Yeah, and again, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
going through this somewhat quickly. But Epstein got that huge townhouse in Manhattan via Leslie Wexner. Of course, enjoyed the trappings of being close with someone like Wexner because he had access to Victoria's Secret models, the Abercrombie and Fitch models,
Mm.
and all of that kind of thing. So he was, and then through Wexner, of course, like, people start recommending their friends,
Mhm.
their other billionaire friends. And I think just based on him, and Wexner had been recommended to Epstein via other billionaires as well. So it's sort
Mhm.
of like if you're a billionaire and someone that you like and admire is their money is being managed by this guy, then he's got to be worthwhile.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so there was that. Everything was going great. He started, associating with all kinds of folks, like obviously the Clintons, Donald Trump, different people from different countries, all types of people, Stephen Hawking, which is so strange, and
Oh, and, what's his
Woody
face?
Allen,
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky, all
Mhm.
these folks, right?
Mhm.
So then things start to and then he became good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell, who we already have covered on our podcast. Um, and Ghislaine kind of had this interesting role. Uh, I'm still not clear on if they certainly did have a quasi sexual relationship here and there. Um,
Yeah,
she
then it
was
ended, I think, and they became friends-ish.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
when things went to shit with her dad when her dad died, and then of course he had all of these money troubles and stuff, Epstein put Ghislaine in charge of kind of being his kind of life manager. She would kind of
Mhm.
manage things for him, and she was paid handsomely for her efforts. And then we'll find out as we come to find out that part of her job was also finding him different girls to come and give him massages and whatever else.
Mhm.
So that became her job. Interestingly, and this really sheds a light on everything, and that is that there was a period of time around this time
Mhm.
when he was taking massive amounts of steroids, which explains
Oh,
everything.
testosterone.
Yes,
Yes.
testosterone.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just imagining him like on like a massive amount of like Cypionate, looking in the mirror, and he's all with, like back knee. If he had like back knee and shit, I'm
Just
not
a
sure, but it was a lot. Like
just a
Ghislaine Maxwell would
giant
be like,
boner all the time. Just a
chronically horny.
boner.
Yeah, because that was the thing with Ghislaine Maxwell when we were doing research on her is like it was exhausting for her to like have to like comb these. I'm not saying this like I'm sympathizing with her, but it's just like his sexual appetite was so intense that she was out there all the time recruiting girls to come and perform these massages slash sexual acts with him. Uh, a lot of testosterone is it will make you do some crazy fucking shit.
Really? I know, and it's so unregulated right now. You can get testosterone from these med tech companies,
Oh, I could
and
call right now and have testosterone delivered to my house tomorrow.
and
Yeah,
they
it's
yeah, and for women, the women, it seems like the levels are, like, decent, like, they're like, "Okay, you don't wanna go over 150 or something."
right.
But for men, they're like, "It's all subjective." Some people can be at 300, some people can be at 800. I'm like, "How do you know?" Like, are you a good judge of that as a person if you're taking it? Because
Right.
from what
And it
I've
depends
seen.
on what your goals are, right? Because you've got
Yeah.
people that are like, "Oh, you're a bodybuilder? Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do for you," like completely disregarding all the health problems that can
Yes.
result if you're going beyond therapeutic doses. Now, granted, I'm sure that Epstein at that point, men's testosterone depletes each year. And he probably wanted to feel virile again, especially if he has a penchant for young women. But depending, and he's a fucking billionaire, so he can kind of do whatever he wants. But he was just already sketchy, and then you add in the testosterone, and he's just unscrupulously just laying there with a fucking heart on.
Bad decision making.
One bad
decision, Jeff.
After another. Yeah. And these girls come in and, they're like, okay, I'm going to get a couple $100 for giving this old rich guy a massage. And then, as we know, some things, sometimes it was just a massage. Sometimes it was here, just give me a massage while you're wearing your bra and underwear. And sometimes it was an HJ. Sometimes it was full sex. It really sort of depended, I guess.
So what I've heard, okay, so we've got the different factions. We have the Michael Tracy, Mr. Michael Tracy, who is the embattled, like 1970s style journalist, right? Sleeps in his car,
right?
Wakes up in rumpled clothing,
has like a thermos of coffee, right? I picture like the thermos where he pours it into the cup, and his hair's rumpled, and he's got like a stack of old newspapers like on the passenger seat.
So he is the one who is taking all the heat. He's done a lot of research. I mean, I tended to fall in line with him and his assessment of everything because it's the most sane to me, and I'm not open to listening to other people at this point. I'm just done. There's too many people talking about it, too many people saying crap. I actually don't care.
The thing that we can all agree on and that there's evidence for is corruption.
Yes.
There's absolutely corruption.
And getting young women.
He has a type.
And some who were lying about their ages, though.
Yeah.
So, but he probably knew. I mean, you could probably look at someone and
dude, he was probably so whacked out on fucking testosterone, he would have fucked a sheep if it had come into the fucking massage room. Like that's the thing is I'm like, and again, I'm not saying that had he not had testosterone, he wouldn't have done any of these things. I'm not saying that. It's just if you already make bad decisions and you're on a whack amount of fucking testosterone, it's gonna make it worse.
It really. I remember somebody who I know who is trans, but started testosterone, and they were like, I feel like a different person. Like,
yes.
It is so intense. I mean, and I am on testosterone because I'm an old lady and I'm menopausal and I'm taking it as supplementary or whatever. Not even a high level. And I feel the sexual stuff is not really turned up for me. But what is just this like sense of vitality and confidence and like a lack of wobbliness. It's bizarre. And I was like, damn, like, it's bizarre that it would have that effect. So, I mean, maybe there's like a confidence aspect and like a willingness to,
Yeah. My test levels were really fucking low at one point. I wasn't even 50 yet. And I was not feeling great. Like there was a lot going on. I got my labs done and my test levels were like below average. I ended up, and this is stupid. There was a chick that she was like heavy into like bodybuilding. I was having the conversation with her and she's like, women need to take testosterone too. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, where do you, you're on testosterone? She goes, yeah. And then she was like, I'll get you some, it's going to cost this much. So I have it shipped to me in a box. I'm an idiot. I'm like, how much do I take? I totally misunderstand what she tells me. I start taking a lot of testosterone. I'm growing hair on my upper thighs. And I was uncomfortably horny. It was horrible. Like it hurt how horny I was. I was driven to distraction all the time. It was terrible. I was also able to do one-handed push-ups for a while. So there was that benefit. Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah. I was like boxing and doing a ton of weight training and all that. So like I was just making all these gains, and my poor, partner was just like, geez, again. I'm like, I'm horny. It was terrible. And then I'm texting with her and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And she's like, wait, how much are you taking? And I told her, she goes, no, you are going to transition if you stay at that level. I was like, oh shit. So I cut back. It helped.
Yeah.
But like, it was bad. So
yeah.
I know how bad it can get. And again, I know things are different for women or for men, but like,
I've seen it. I've seen that really hurt men's relationships, honestly,
right,
because of the insatiable stuff.
Because they turn into fucking cavemen, right?
Yeah.
They're like constantly horny.
Ooga. Ooga booga, me want sex.
Yeah. So like, again, with Epstein, and this is all, Maxwell had said he was on a lot of testosterone. Who knows what that means? He may have already had a high sex drive and stuff, but it's just a thing where the test probably didn't help. But we know that he was a corrupt guy. We know this. I feel like, as with a lot of things, the truth has got to be somewhere in the middle, Someone that is willing to launder money for an arms dealer probably doesn't care if you're, 15, 16, 17 and he's having sex with you, as long as no one finds out. I feel like his morals and ethics are pretty relaxed or possibly non-existent.
It does track with you were saying about psychopathy, and it does track with that, because not all psychopaths are sadists.
Right.
He's got that sort of like, I'll take this risk. I'll show up to this school with no degree and teach this class. I'll do things that most of us would be really terrified to take up.
And the entitlement. He felt like he deserved it.
And I would be of no consequences.
Yeah. He's teaching a class. He can't even fucking answer a difficult problem at like an elite prep school. And he doesn't seem concerned about it. Right. So that's the thing. I'm like, he shows up, he feels entitled to a lifestyle he hasn't earned. He thinks he's charming, and he feels entitled to things, and
no one smacked him down.
No,
if I was Annie Farmer, right? She's Maria Farmer and Annie Farmer are the sisters, and Maria was in New York, artist, met Jeffrey Epstein, started working for him. He asked about her siblings, which is so gross. She mentioned Annie. He took a liking to Annie and wanted to help her with her college and get her resume all, buffed out, and offered to send her on this trip, all expenses paid, and invite her. If he had done that with my dad would have given him the beat down. Like, my dad would have lost it. That is, we can get into that later, but that's that kind of move, to like take up someone as their benefactor and then put them in a position where you're acting skeevy with them and you want to snuggle them. And that just requires that sort of psychopath disregard for like what could happen next. You could get in trouble, right? But yeah.
And he felt indestructible. Like, I'd be like, dude, I'm taking a big risk. I'm taking a big risk. But he liked the risk. It probably, he was turned on by it. Probably. Like, how far can I get without any degree? How far can I get with just, all this money that I now have? Like, I'm untouchable. And he was for a very long time. Yeah. So, based on the evidence that we've seen, the actual evidence that we've seen, I take issue with the fact that a lot of these girls that were being brought over from West Palm Beach or wherever to his house were girls that were low income and that could be coerced or talked into things. Whether they were held down against their will, whether they were attacked, whether or not he knew if they were underage or not, I'm bothered by the fact that he can come from humble beginnings, turn around and exploit girls who have to wrestle with feelings about, putting a dollar on their
Yeah.
dignity and
And the
feelings of
peer
safety.
Yeah, and the peer relationship stuff too, about the other girls who were asking, cluing their friends into it and saying, "Just go give this old guy a massage. I'll give you $300 or whatever." That playing on that too, like using the other girls to get the other girls, because it normalizes it, right? If your
Mhm.
friend is doing it, and the whole thing is bizarre. Like normal people don't do that.
Yeah. And
Normal
that
people,
was
yeah,
that was my thing though too.
yeah.
It's like that's where I go into the psychopathy and
Hmm.
the evidence that he's corrupt and not a good person is
Yeah,
this is a guy that could have afforded to have, you know, Victoria's Secret looking escorts
yeah,
for, you know, that would keep their mouth shut. He wouldn't get in trouble because the escorts don't want to get in trouble. And he could have had a rotating door of beautiful model looking escorts over and over and over again. But that's not
yeah,
exciting because the girls understand the score. They're
yeah.
expensive,
Hmm.
even though he can afford it. There's
Hmm.
something really just awful about here's 200 $300 when 200 $300 is like what 25 cents to him.
I know,
And
I
it's
know.
like the high-end escort probably already, if she's smart with her money, has invested it and doesn't need the $10,000. You know who needs the $10,000? The little high school girl who comes from a broken home, who's like trying to decide if she wants to give you an HJ for like 200 $300. So,
Yeah. I
but
also wonder if it's something about like it just being completely transactional, not wanting any bag. Like he could have probably had like girlfriends or dates, people that weren't escorts, people he just met and charmed, who he could have sex with. But then there would be some kind of entanglement with a grown woman, which would be more work than he wanted to do or something.
and
Like he.
and, and that woman
Mhm.
has agency. And
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I think that there is a kink to the girl being insecure, a little
Yeah.
bit afraid,
Mhm.
uncertain, to one of
Uncomfortable. Like, I think he got
uncomfortable,
right, like,
tentative, like
all these
that's
positions, right? Like, going and trying to snuggle Annie Farmer, going and try to Jeffrey wants a massage. Like, yeah, maybe getting off on the discomfort that he
yeah.
causes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, it doesn't have to be eating children to be disturbing, but we've normalized we've yeah, anyway, this
Mm,
is probably
mm.
a good time for us to take a break.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we were discussing the corrupt nature of Epstein and the way that he interacted with women and girls, and we've lost sight of what am I trying to say? How dark and disturbing it is, the things that we under, understand happened, and we've gone into this other mode of stuff that has no factual evidence, which is the baby eating and baby rape.
Mhm.
And I guess I'm getting ahead of ourselves because I completely lost track of the fact that he got arrested.
Oh, that's right. What year was that?
That was, I'm looking up my little outline here. So in 2005, uh, Epstein came under investigation after a parent of a 14-year-old girl claimed he had sexually abused her. This led to a police investigation in Palm Beach, Florida. This was the mother that called in and said, my daughter has all this money and she just told me that this is what was happening, which had to have been so terrifying and surreal for a
Yeah.
parent, right?
Yeah. It was her stepmom too.
Oh, okay. Wow. In 2006, the FBI began a full investigation into Epstein's activities, leading to his first significant legal troubles. And then in 2008, Epstein entered a controversial plea deal, pleading guilty to charges of procuring a person under age 18 for prostitution. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison, though he only served 13 months with work release privileges. So this is where there is what we know in retrospect. We understand everything that went into that arrest and what he pled to.
2 counts. One was solicitation of prostitution, I guess they called it back then. And then solicitation of a minor for prostitution. And we're going to talk about, so because Michael Tracy talks about this one, how the person they used for that case, the 17-year-old,
didn't want to, she was about to turn 18. She was less than 24 hours away from turning 18, wasn't she?
And she had said it was a consensual relationship and she didn't want to press charges, but they used her as a case to bring charges against him. Yeah.
And that he had to register as a sex offender.
Yeah.
Right. But as far as everyone being upset about the fact that even after that prison sentence, that many esteemed academics, politicians, celebrities would interact with him.
Mm-hmm.
And as they probably understood it, as far as what was publicly available at the time, he got busted for soliciting a prostitute, which all these guys have done at least a couple times each.
I'm sure.
Right. So for them, they're like, oh shit, he got in trouble for hiring a prostitute. You know, glad I never got caught when I call girls when I'm in Dallas or whatever, you know. So, and then I think I've said this before. How about the number of people that understand that Harvey Weinstein was a terrible person long before any of us knew he was a terrible person and kept doing business with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, so then after in 2010 to 2019, despite his conviction, Epstein continued to maintain a high-profile social life. He hosted lavish get-togethers, continued wheeling and dealing with various powerful individuals. And then in 2019, he was arrested on federal charges. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested on federal charges of sex trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. The arrest reignited public interest in his criminal activities and relationships with influential figures. So around that time, that was Virginia Giuffre was the person that really brought him down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It never was able to go to trial, though, right? Because
he died.
He died August 10th, 2019 in prison. So, yes. That is what happened. That's the long and short of it as far as Epstein's kind of timeline. And then, of course, bringing us to the present, Ghislaine Maxwell was then arrested, and she's still in prison for her part. She was arrested for her part in the trafficking allegations. And Virginia Giuffre died a few years ago.
Yeah, that was fodder for lots of conspiracy theorists.
So many conspiracy theories came out of that.
Yeah, because how did she die again? Did she get hit by a bus or something?
Yeah, it was really weird, actually. I'm not sure how did she get? I'm confused.
Something weird that looked like she had an accident. I think. Let me look it up. I don't know. Oh, cause of death, suicide, they say.
She had an accident, was recovering from it, and then killed herself. Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Which is also the thing, you know, people say all the time, I'm not suicidal. Because
right.
So it looked suspicious. in terms of that pattern, that way of seeing things. And, like Epstein's death looked suspicious. Still, people think that it could be even
Murder.
Michael Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah,
That it
he
was.
yeah, in his interview he said, I'm not, I'm not he said he could be more convinced that it was murder than a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
because if he was labeled a pedophile, and that was what people were saying, even though he was never convicted of pedophilia. I mean, I guess is that a crime? I mean, pedophilia is a crime, but they call it something else, right? Like sexual abuse of a minor. Yeah.
right.
So in jail, that doesn't go over well. People don't love that. And his cellmate, I think, had attacked him before. And he said he didn't want to be in the same cell with that person. I think he got put back in the cell with that person. And people wonder if that's what happened. If that person killed him.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted him dead. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Oh, I'm
didn't have to
sure.
be Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton that wanted him dead, for him to have like a bounty on his head.
Yep.
Um,
So
so
many people just to shut him up, just to
yeah,
like.
because he did know a lot of things. I'm sure in the way that charming, successful people get to procure information, or sometimes people will volunteer information,
Yeah.
unsolicited, just because they feel like they're your friend. And didn't you say like even Noam Chomsky just thought that Epstein was like the coolest, nicest, friendliest guy?
Yeah, there was I forget the exact nature of it, but I think it was a note from Noam Chomsky's wife about inviting him to something and just saying, you're one of Noam's favorite people or something like that. What's so annoying to me is, oh God, the internet, the chattering masses and the moral panic kind of, and the way people use these victims and use this case for personal gain, including politicians and podcasters and people who are permanently online and who have a following there. Um, it just feels like further exploitation, and it feels like people playing games with other people's minds so that they'll get more likes and clicks and votes. I think what I'm recognizing is this like rage I have right now toward the like people who are waging a war on truth. And that's their whole gig. And politicians do it all the time, right? All the time. Like flip-flopping and lies and memory holing and gaslighting, and I just find it completely disgusting. I guess that's the part that strikes me as one of the biggest dangers that we face in our world right now, which is, getting our information from a media that doesn't care about the facts so much, and then getting our information from people, online sources who try to appear trustworthy, politicians who try to appear trustworthy, and how easy it is to manipulate people, and partially because people are not asking themselves the right questions, which is like, why now? Why is this guy showing up in my feed saying this now? Why wasn't he saying it 4 years ago? And what are they trying to get from me by saying this? It's like, I don't know, it just terrifies me. Actually, it's so uncomfortable.
Well,
Have
moral
you?
panics are incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
And the problem is we are living in a time, again, we talk about this all the time on the podcast, which is we are oversaturated with information. And I'm not even talking about the true information, just information, data, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And it's just coming at us, and we've stopped filtering out the bullshit from the truth.
And we
And
can't
you can't, you actually,
sometimes.
you have to physically do the work to find out the truth.
Yes.
And the
Like,
thing is, or any evidence to support these things. And instead, people are lazy, or they're tired, or they're just so flooded with their phones. They've got their phones on to keep them company as they do their tasks, and they're having people pop on and say, this is crazy. An FBI agent vomited and passed out because
Oh, yeah.
Because of what he had seen in the files. The files are so disturbing, you guys. I can't go back to them. I'm too upset. And there's nothing.
I know. Well, and
And
if it was destroyed, same thing. It's like, fine, yeah. Okay, I guarantee that those files have been through several administrations. If
yeah,
there was anything in there that was incriminating, I'm sure it's long gone. It's in a burn bag somewhere where they'll find it 20 years from now. Who knows, right?
right. And that's my point, is that right now it's like, regardless of what you think,
Mhm.
regardless of what you believe, there's no existing evidence that there is a cabal that's sacrificing children, that Hillary Clinton and uh, Huma Abedin were enjoying an evening of torturing a kid and wearing her face as a mask. Like, there's no evidence. And again, I'm not saying these things didn't happen. I'm not sitting here because I don't know. None of us
Yeah.
fucking know. None of us know if Jeffrey Epstein didn't put on a tutu and like suspend himself from the ceiling of his, New York townhouse and fly around. We have no idea. We have no
Yes.
idea if any, you can come up with the most insane story in your mind, and we don't know.
Yes. And here's the problem, right? This brings me to number 2 complaint. All of this takes our attention away and our eyes off the ball of mass suffering, of real, like, tons. So we're over here thinking about Hillary Clinton wearing a face mask
Right.
while our government is losing track of like hundreds of thousands of children who have crossed the border and handing them off to people to be their guardians who are actually trafficking them.
Yeah, there's
Right?
actual evidence of this. Like,
Yes.
this is a thing. This is
Yes.
a proven fucking thing.
And nobody's talking about it. I mean,
No
some
one's
people are
talking
talking about
about
it,
it.
but
Right.
not like this.
No.
And
We've
not
got a guy screaming in the airport. That viral video of a guy screaming in an airport. They're eating kids, and we're just sitting here. They're eating children. They're killing and eating children, and we're just sitting here. And it's like, where's that fucking outrage for these
exactly for
kids?
I mean, I just heard them talking about finding a 14-year-old kid who had, and I don't, this is a blind spot maybe culturally that we keep coming back to, but like our government had a program where they paid people to accompany these minors that had crossed the border. Didn't I mean, even if you properly vet them, what does that mean? It's a field day for pedophiles.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I'll be a guardian of a kid. They didn't track them. So it was like 300,000, right, that they lost count of, or at least
Yes.
185,000. I think they've found since then. But they're finding these kids with, people who are trafficking. They're finding them pregnant at 14, living with people who have been trafficking them. And where is the congressional outrage? Where is the Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey about that?
Right.
You have the best line about that though. Like, they're not Ukrainian model.
I'm sorry they're not Ukrainian models. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry they're brown, because that's really, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, that I think you described it as panic porn. People are getting off to this idea that rich, famous people are eating kids, and and all of this in these glamorous estates, and it has this kind of cinematic quality to the fantasy. And the reality is, most of these kids, I don't think you give a fuck about, because they are poor and they are of color,
And they're
and
not from our country or
yeah, they're not
whatever. Yeah, it's like,
glamorous. Sorry, it's
yeah,
not glamorous. Sorry that trafficking isn't glamorous in real life like it is in this movie that you've invented,
or
starring
the
fucking Jeffrey Epstein.
exactly, exactly. And it's so God, what is that thing? I mean, I think in a way there is some collective sense of being devoured by the elite, because these kleptocrats and these, have been bleeding us dry and
Yeah.
enriching themselves and their friends. And of course, we all feel like we've been eaten by them. But yeah, I think that there's something it's delusional in a way. I mean,
Right.
it's symbolic, but
Right.
we care about these, and not all of Epstein's victims were rich, beautiful Ukrainian
No,
models,
a
but
lot
they
of
were
them
all
were
but they were
working
all
class and poor. And
but
yeah.
They don't get as much airtime, I don't think, as like the Farmer sisters
No,
or
or Virginia Giuffre, 3
Mhm.
blonde chicks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Again, I'm not trying to diminish whatever it with
Yeah.
them, but I'm just like,
Every
kind of funny that the poster children for
Yeah.
all of this are these attractive white women.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, oh god, did we talk about the Super Bowl ad? We did.
yeah, yes, we did
But yeah, I
in
think
our last
that's
episode.
right, it's just more exploitation in my
Yeah.
mind, right? Like, let's all that's a problem, right? It's a problem that that happened, but like you were saying earlier before we started the episode, that's a problem. He's dead. He cannot offend anymore. If there are more like him, go out and get them, please. But like, why are we still talking about I mean, I get they want to nail people to the wall, but go after there are lots of people offending in all kinds of ways. Let's go after them
Where
next.
there's actual physical evidence. And
Yes.
again, when people are getting angry and saying, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? Arrests for what?
If they
We
had
have
proof,
Yeah, we have a system. We have a system in this country. And that system requires evidence.
yeah.
And
Oh,
unless there's evidence, no one is going to get in trouble. But also, again, not saying that these things didn't happen, but I'm inclined to believe that if you are a very powerful, wealthy, elite person, you're going to make damn fucking sure you leave no evidence.
right. I mean,
And
people,
if you're that elite, you're probably above the DOJ.
right.
You probably have a lot of people in your pocket,
Yeah.
as we've observed from Epstein's ascent, with absolutely nothing but his charm and his wits, being able to talk his way into things. It's
Yeah.
not
And
hard.
right. And also you like I'm like, it's fine if you're outraged about the rules being unfair. Like I get that. Like it's you could if you're that wealthy and influential, you probably could have child porn on your computer and pay someone off not to ever or or you probably could get away with a lot of stuff like you hear people all the time getting arrested for child porn. And so they're they're out there looking and trying, but so right, be mad about that. But like I don't know about this all this time and energy being spent dissecting, deposing, when it, I mean, it's I guess it's just I mean, it's a distrust in our institutions. People don't trust the DOJ to be forthright about whatever evidence they have, so they need to see for themselves. But I'm like, do you really think that they would not have looked through these files and then released them and have some, smoking gun situation happen? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, in my general distrust of fucking
Yeah.
everybody, of course they're not going to blindly drop this off with some stuff that could potentially be incriminating for a lot of people, or that
Yeah.
could completely bring the system down. I think that it's also a case of, I know it's not a an either or where everybody's mad about the possibility of, wealthy elites right now doing these terrible things, that means that they don't care about other trafficking that goes on.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if it's a case of they can see these people, they
Mhm.
know these people,
Yeah.
and they want those people symbolically. And like you
Yeah.
were saying, which I think is incredibly just very literary, this idea of being consumed by wealthy,
Mhm.
privileged people. Of course, we all kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to be feeling it in April with taxes,
Uh,
all the bullshit. But I mean, you see,
October.
you in there's something to be said too with these the uncovering in these different states of the way that taxpayers have been getting horribly exploited and ripped
Oh,
off
right.
by the government. And then you look at
Yes.
the timing of it, and it's like they're eating us, they're
Dude,
consuming us. And
exactly.
yeah,
That you're talking about the timing of this. Right. It's so on cue. It's like, "Oh, look, we're uncovering that all of this massive fraud and people involved in the government being involved in basically getting money to their pals and um right, and then on right on cue, oh, the Epstein Files is now in everybody, it's yeah, it just feels like this manipulation.
Yeah, it
right?
does. It does.
Like,
And a lot of anger where, you know, people are feeling this and then
mhm.
they have something to you know, to take their rage and their feeling of like just impotence, right?
Yes,
And they
I can do
direct it
something.
at this, and then they can yell about that. They can point their fingers at something concrete or that feels concrete. And then you've got, you know, these systems in place with podcasts and different
Ugh.
influencers claiming like, hey, there's pictures and videos of these people eating kids and killing them and raping them and doing all of these things. It's disgusting. And Robin Leach was there and he strangled a girl and you know, all of these people are doing this. And so everyone is freaking out. They're believing it
It's
because
like the witch trials. I mean, it's like, right, and the guilt by association piece, right?
guilt by association. And I mean, no one feels sorry for like these rich fucks that are like flying to Little St. James. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
get it. I
Uh-huh.
get it. And you do feel this kind of like, well, fuck you. You can't be a good person if you're hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm like, they could just be stupid and naive. Like I was saying in that the play Guess Who's Coming to Dinner,
Yeah.
just based on the case of the young man that claimed to be Sidney Poitier's son, and he ingratiated himself into high society because he just said, "Oh yeah, no, I'm Sidney Poitier's son." And people just believed him.
Yeah.
They just believed him. Oh, here you can, of course, you can stay at our house. Here's some money. Here's some this. You're Sidney Poitier's son. It's like it's. I don't have a lot of sympathy for these people that live such a lavish life that they feel like they are guarded from any kind of bad thing. Like nothing can happen to them. I'm untouchable, you
Mhm.
know, which ultimately is what got Epstein into a lot of trouble is this idea that he is untouchable, that he is entitled, that he can do all these things. And he did for a long time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of sympathy for these people that are just hanging out with him. I get it. I get it. But again, it doesn't mean that they committed crimes,
Right.
you
I mean,
know.
really, yeah. I mean, just because you're in the files, like there's Peter Attia, and then there's he stepped down from his role in the news. So many people have stepped down from their roles and things just from appearing in the files, just
Right.
from having a couple emails or I don't know how many, but um yeah, it's so primitive, I guess. I feel like there's some primitive stuff going on here where we're letting ourselves be manipulated, our emotions weaponized, our attention stolen, uh, while all this stuff is going on beneath the surface that is really terrible. Also, I mean, not that the Epstein stuff wasn't terrible, but and then this like weird insatiable kind of hunger for someone to blame, someone to punish, but also hunger for to be betrayed by your gut, oh, I know the DOJ is hiding something. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like this paranoia. And I understand, like I told you that book, there's this great book that I love called The Examined Life, and it's written by this psychoanalyst, and he talked about in one part how paranoia doesn't actually come from the experience of being persecuted. That paranoia comes from the experience of being people treating you like they're indifferent to you. And so I can see how, people feel like, we're there, our government is indifferent to us. I mean, look at how much we've had to languish over the last, my whole lifetime. Like we still can't resolve very simple issues that most of us agree upon and have it be, enacted as policy, and it's frustrating. And, the middle class is disappearing. And hi, Bruno, look at
I know.
Poochie. Poochie's jealous. Look, I Poochie. He wants to come up too.
I know
Hi,
Bruno's like,
Poochie.
I got something to say. Okay,
Yeah.
Bruno,
Oh,
sorry.
Poochie. Here he comes.
Oh no, guys, here.
All right.
Let me just. Here we go. Sorry. Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. I know. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. It's if I make eye contact with. Oh. Okay, just
Uh-oh.
here. Anyway.
Bruno and Epstein would get along very well.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. Oh dear. Oh dear. Bruno's too much of an exhibitionist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but
Eh.
Yeah. And again, we started doing this research, and I was like, I'm not. It's not that I right there with everybody. I'm like, what the fuck is this crazy
Yeah.
shit? Oh my god, I can't believe it. This is insane. All this stuff is coming out, and then you go in and you start to do the research, and then you find out that a lot of shit has been debunked. That was AI. That was deep fake. You're going through and it's like, I need some factual evidence. I'm not seeing factual evidence of cannibalism, that people are jerky, that pizza equals child or little girl, this equals that. And it's like we know that the pizza language is certainly code.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some people said that also it's like it almost functions like an inside joke.
Mm.
Um, you know, but again, it's we don't there's no factual evidence, there's no hard evidence, and nothing's going to be done without it. And I'm sorry, guys, thank goodness, because if people can just get arrested and thrown in prison or executed based on vibes, that's a bad thing. Or like circumstantial evidence.
Right.
You know, we have a process. We are innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, Epstein was guilty of a lot of things, and he
Yeah.
is gone now. Um, there's a lot. If we can direct our rage at actual shit that's happening
Oh,
with
so
actual
many
evidence.
things.
There's so much, and it's hard because you and I were watching some of these things that led us down like these trafficking holes with these agents, like breaking down, talking about stuff that they were finding. And the problem is trying to identify who these people are, the people and the children.
Yeah, and you
And
have children who are not coming across the border who are just found every week. I see a story about, this you see these people and there's like a whole bunch of adults and these children that they're letting people have sex with for money. It's
yeah,
uh let's if you're going to be ragey about that Epstein, let's also be ragey about all the other let's do something about all the other perpetrators out there.
and
And yeah.
it's hard because you feel helpless.
Mhm.
And there are networks, and trafficking is incredibly lucrative, billion upon billions of dollars a year money making thing.
Yep.
And I don't doubt that there are people in high positions that are benefiting from it. Of course, it
Yes,
makes
of
sense,
course.
right?
It's not just
um
cartels, yeah.
no, and that's when I say, like, I'm not sitting here going, this is all crazy. People are acting crazy and people are
Mhm.
losing sight of shit, but
Ugh, I
there's nothing.
hate yeah, I'm so I have in my gut, I feel so much anger toward these politicians for some reason because they paint themselves as so heroic, and I'm like, "Why all of a sudden?" And that's a question we really need to you have to I think going forward as a society, we have got to develop critical thinking skills. Otherwise, we are screwed,
Yeah, and
right?
it's so discouraged, dude. Like, critical thinking is so fucking discouraged, and it really relies heavily on the fact that we are so lazy now, me included. I'm like, where's my phone? Blah 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 blah.
Let me
What's
ask
that?
Grok.
Yeah. So someone's telling me that cheese causes cancer. I guess
Oh
it
god, I
does.
know. Debunk really, all the stuff that's coming at us all the time, you could spend your entire life, and it hooks us because I think that's what foraging, we like forage for information. And if somebody tells you something like this from an authoritative place, it hooks you. You're
Mhm.
like, do I? And so now you're left with a question that then you go have to answer. And then you're like, okay, fine. I won't. This is what happened to me. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to listen to a couple of voices in this whole discussion because there's a cacophony and I can't not deal. And so you pick someone or a couple people, hopefully from various parts of the
Right.
spectrum, and you think, but it's labor intensive, or you just opt out. Part of me is just like at the point where I'm like, do I opt out? And I think a lot of people are kind of coming there with AI and thinking, do we just become an internet less people in a family and go back to the way we used to be? But then you have to trust your outlets, your news outlets that are corporate owned and that have their own agendas and that are owned by the various political parties. So, it's just, I don't know how to deal. Maybe we can do an episode on that, like how going forward to exist in this situation. And it's
It
like we need
requires a lot of energy. It
yeah, like a
requires some
veracity meter. Like I wish I had yeah, it does a lot of energy and a lot of like, and people, like I was talking about the brain. We were talking about the brain yesterday a little bit, and the way we learn as humans is we make errors in prediction, and then we learn from that, hopefully.
right.
And so you have to allow yourself to know like you're wrong. I mean, in a way, I think the antidote is, especially like with the polarization, is you have to make an effort, a good faith effort to understand other perspectives and really understand. Right now what we do is we write people off, right? They're just a stupid libtard, or they're just a stupid
MAGA,
hillbilly
maggots.
MAGA. Yeah.
Right.
And that is an ad hominem attack. That's just like, so they have nothing of value to offer me, right? Instead, you could look at people around you and say, they're obvious, like, half the country's not crazy. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of people, but half the country's not crazy. Let me try and understand and have a theory of mind for that person. Like, how could they both be a decent human with a lot in common with me, right? How could they be just like me in a lot of ways, but think something that's the polar opposite and really entertain that? And if you don't do that, you're not going to learn, and you're not going to expand your view, and you're not going to change, and the polarization is not going to change. And so,
Yeah.
like, you're just getting all your news and stuff from your little what's it called again? Algorithm.
Right.
So if you're just getting all your news from your little algorithm, and it makes you feel nice and good and cozy, and you have all this affirmation from your buddies about how right you are in your thinking, and you're that's not helpful.
Right.
And also, if you're like not willing to engage with people who have a different opinion than yours, that's just confirmation bias, and it's just stagnant and whatever. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable and be challenged, and either update your views or not. But like, I don't see that. I mean, I see it happening sometimes, but I don't see it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, rather than, I don't know, the blue sky and the X example is it, to me, stands out in a way. It's like, people didn't like it when Elon took over Twitter. So, and there was too many conservative voices, and so they started Blue Sky. Which I find that the exact opposite thing of what needs to happen. Right? Like, it would be good for us all to be together, and for us all to be arguing and talking and sharing ideas and thinking, and right? That's why I like Twitter, because people are on there arguing and sharing information and bringing receipts, and uh it's an opportunity to, like, I do it all the time. Make assumptions, and then I learn, and somebody tells me something, and I'm like, oh, that's a good point. And then I'm like, oh, I was wrong about that. And then I adjust my thinking, and then suddenly I've learned something. And, I don't know. I'm done belaboring the point here, but yeah.
It's a thing too where especially still fairly new in my faith. It's been like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And finding compassion and finding patience, and recognizing that, uh there's that at our core we all want the same things. We want to feel safe. We want to be safe. We
Mm-hmm.
want our kids to be safe. We want to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
We want to love. And we want to feel seen,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to feel heard or be heard.
Mm-hmm.
We all want the same things at our core. And we
Mm-hmm.
just have maybe different ways of going about it. Like I I have to remind myself of that,
Mm-hmm.
that of just like I still believe fundamentally in the goodness of human beings. I believe that. And I'm still a very optimistic person, as much as I'm distrustful of government, as much as I'm distrustful of all these things. But that has more to do with I'm distrustful of anybody that wants power. If you
Uh-huh.
want power and you want to wield power, I'm distrustful just inherently
Mm-hmm.
because I just I'm just am.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm right, and
Yeah.
doesn't mean that there haven't been people in power who were good.
Mm-hmm.
I just in general question anybody that wants to take on power. And so anyone that believes different things, I have to remind myself of that sometimes. There is an impulse to become very like self-righteous and believe, oh,
Ugh.
well, I know better, or I know, or you don't know. And then I'm like, I, it's important to question yourself
Yeah.
as well. Like you said, that there's there was a time when if you had to do a research paper, you took the bus to the city library and went through the fucking Dewey Decimal System. That's what you did. You
Yeah.
had to fucking scrape
Yep.
for your research material. Now you
Mm-hmm.
can get every possible bit of information that has ever existed in a matter of seconds.
Ugh. Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming, and then you find yourself maybe just wanting to pick one or two things because it's too overwhelming, but then the two things that you've chosen were actually like bunk.
Yeah.
And so I understand the fatigue, and that's the information fatigue. But anyway, like that's the thing is also fundamentally we need to remember that we all want the same things by and large.
Yes, and I think you've made me think about this, and I think this is an important piece of it. The so our so like the Iran strikes and stuff are a good example. I know. It's a good example.
Iran. I know. That's a whole other fucking subject.
But it's a
Keep
really
going.
interesting one because it's a
Yeah.
good example of
Yes.
well, it's also you can use Epstein too. So when what our minds are essentially doing, I think, when we're going online and we're saying, "Oh, they're eating babies," and "Oh, this is going to be just like Iraq." Like our minds are doing what minds are supposed to do, right? They're predicting, right? So this is what everybody does. They freak out online and they're predicting this, predicting that, and blah blah blah. And I think this, and there's stuff in that files. If we all realized, like, the way our mind does this is it takes our histories and it takes the sensory present and it puts those things together and it makes a prediction. The only way to change how we do that is to go back in time and change our history, what we can't do, or it's to make predictions that are incorrect and learn from them. So, the, so that's the problem, I think, is that's where it gets derailed. Is like people have a hard time learning from, they get too defensive, I think, about things. But so you have this, you have to, what am I trying to say here? Is that it's very humanizing to look around at this cacophony of voices online and to say, these people are just doing what I'm doing. Only they don't know they're doing it. Sometimes I think a lot of people don't know they're doing that. They're just thinking they're right and not understanding that the reason they think the way they think is their entire learning history plus the present moment, that right. So you have, in order to yeah, so I think learning is the key. People need to be doing a little bit more learning,
Right. They
and
need to do more learning, and then if I have to it makes me think of, and again, I'm guilty of it.
mm-hmm.
But when there's people like yelling, they're just yelling and they're outraged, and it reminds me of looking at my kids when they were toddlers and going, oh, they're
Yes,
just having big feelings.
yes,
And it's just having big feelings. You're
yes,
having big feelings. And I'm not trying to infantilize people that feel those big feelings. I have them too. Um,
but they're
you
not
know,
facts. Feelings are not facts.
no. And I, you've heard me like yell and flip out a little bit on here because of those big feelings, but we all just have them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just remembering that, yeah, these are big feelings, and you got to do a little bit of research with those big feelings, and in the same way, have compassion towards those that are having big feelings.
Mhm.
Because it's hard, I think about the guy in the airport, and just he was having like a breakdown
Yeah.
and freaking out and stuff, and it's like, I get it, I get the feelings.
And he probably is freaking out because of these very people who I think have bad intentions, many of them,
Right.
to pump up people's fear and to pump up their anger, versus a more fact based discussion. Yeah, yeah. Soylent Green is people. That's what I think of.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have that moment, right? Like, I understand.
Yeah. Or they want to be they want to be they think that the elites are like Donald Sutherland and at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like
Totally. Oh my God, that movie. I loved that. It's terrifying. The dog with the person face. Ugh.
I'm just glad that I'm too old to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not tasty. I'm in my 50s.
Yeah, no one's gonna like this tender morsel up in here.
I'm too broken. Whoa! Oh, Bruno.
I'm
sorry.
like a raisin, not a ripe, delicious, juicy plum.
My adrenochrome isn't there because I don't get scared anymore. I'm too jaded. I'm like, fine, take my blood. Just take it.
It's yours.
It's yours. Let me know. I had it long enough. I'm 53 years old. Just take the blood. I'm sorry. I'm not scared.
Oh God. I hope.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure people are going to have big feelings about this episode, and if you do, please let us know. And yeah, please leave us some positive reviews if you have them. If there are things that you take issue with things that we say, we also like to hear about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
let us never speak of Jeffrey Epstein again.
Yeah. I'm so tired of him. So tired of Jeff.
JEE.
Yes. JEE vacations. Okay. Well, gang, we'll be back next week with something completely different. And I, for one, can't wait.
I, for two, can't wait.
Yes. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.